Okay, so yun. Good afternoon, class, and welcome to our subject applications, development, and emerging technology. And our topic is about the PhoneGap, PHP, and MySQL. So before we continue, let's have an attendance muna. So today is October 13. Okay, attendance Alva, Mr. Alva, Alva absent.
Albacano, absent sir.
Sakit ubat na.
Adanana na.
Balbin, Mr. Balbin, absent.
Present Barcelona.
Kay Tabernon Kabading sir nakakabil.
Hindi. Dati sa kanya pero naibigay na sa akin. Balbin absent.
Present sir, present.
Present. Barcelona.
Sir, present.
Borillo.
Sir, present.
Present. Cardona.
Ano, yaman.
Cardona. Absent. Cardona absent. Gonzales.
Present, sir.
Gerson.
Taga magatang ko, 17.
Sir papasok pa lang.
Wala pa.
Ito na
Ligtaw.
yan.
Ligtawa.
Sir. Nagatang ko ni.
Sir, present.
Sino? Gerson.
Sir, present.
Makugay.
Ano?
Makugay. Absent Makugay.
Uh,
Martinez.
Present, sir.
Ganda ng pan na. Ojo ah. Elvida.
Sir, malilate daw.
Late. Wala pa. Nero.
sir. Present.
Kiambao.
Sir present.
Villanueva. Villanueva. Absent.
Pupi sir.
Bilorio. Bilorio. Absent. Cabanela.
Present, sir.
Present. Clemency.
Sir, present.
Cardona. Cardona absent. Ashley. Gueruela.
Present, sir.
Labsan.
Cardona.
Sardona. Ashley. Present. Lamsan. Absent Lamsan. Ra-
Sir, present.
present. Ramirez.
Present, sir.
Present. Viloria.
Present, sir.
Akamaka.
Kamamaka. Kamamaka.
Henry. Henry Akamaka. Lim. Lim.
Wala daw silang internet, sir.
Si Lim wala.
Sir Makugay, present.
Makugay present.
Present, sir.
Sir Belorio.
Bilorio present. Ngayaan.
Present, sir.
Yes.
Henry Akamaka.
Present.
Present. Good. So absent. Alva. Mr. Alva. Cardona. Nelmida. Villanueva. Okay, so let's continue. Yeah, and okay, so let's talk about the PhoneGap PHP and MySQL tutorial. Okay, so in this topic, you will be creating a or perform a CRUD. So you will create an application that will insert, read, update, and delete information or data in your database. So we have the MySQL database connection, and then we have the PHP code. We have here the
Masakit. Panalo na.
reference. Meron tayong reference dito. And yan. So in this demonstration, this one is for the creation of the table. Create muna kayong table. Pero you have to create first the database and then create a table. Pwede nyo itong i-copy and paste sa SAMP. Localhost PHP myadmin.
Ang pinagpapatag ko dito.
Okay, so first you have to create a database. So alam niyo naman paano mag-create ng database. So yun, you have to create a database using the SAMP. Okay, and then just copy this code. So later on, I'll be uploading this in our Google Classroom. Okay, so create a database, create a table, and then after that, this is the codes, example code. So this is for the database connection. So
Ay,
same.
naku.
Okay, so same with the yung PHP during your web application. So database connection, PHP and MySQL. We have the localhost, the username and password, and then the database name using the MySQL LI Connect. Next is for the insert. So for the insert, same with the PHP, no, yung web application. So we have the title, the duration. For example, these are the variables: title, duration, price, and then these are the names of the text box sa HTML. And then we have here the MySQL query. So we have the insert into the table name. These are the columns, title, duration, and price. So if you can see in our database, so this is the name of the table, course details, and then these are the columns. We have the ID. For the ID, that this is auto increment. We have the title, duration, and price. So those are the columns, and then we have the value. So these are the variables: title, duration, and then we have the price. And then next is we have the update. Okay, same. Uh, we have the variable ID, title, duration, and price, and then we have the these are the names in our form, and then we have the update query. So update table name, set the column name, and then we have the variable. Then next is we have the delete. For the delete, same. First you have to get the ID. Same, pwedeng post or get, either way. And then here, this is the query. We have delete from the table name where the ID is equal to ID. So if in case that we don't have any error, then it will display a success. But if in case na meron siyang error, and then it will display error. And then this one is for the read, for retrieving the data from our database. Yan. So we need to have an array, and then we have here the query. Select all from the table name, and then here we have the looping statement. The MySQL fetch object. This one is used to get all the data in our database and then display that using the echo JSON code data. Okay, so this is the code on how to display or get the data from our database to our project. Next is, okay, this is the form. So take note that the phone gap is using, or it can read only HTML, hypertext markup language, and then
Tara, mid.
the
Mid ka. Tara, tara. Pagdating
cascade.
ko na para.
Uy, mute.
Yes.
Mute muna. Mute. Okay, so yun nga, HTML, cascading style, and JavaScript. Yung tatlo lang. But the
Ito mo mas lesson ba rin? Baklaro.
phone gap, for the phone gap, it cannot read HTML. I mean, it cannot read PHP and MySQL. So for that, we'll be using the JavaScript. Kasi ang programming language that the phone gap is using is the uh, JavaScript. Okay, so this is basic database connection. We have the insert, we have the update query, we have the delete, the display or read, and this is the HTML or the form. So for
Oy.
example here, let's try to run the program. By the way, if you are creating a project and using the, okay, wait lang ah. So take note that if you will be creating a project uh, using the PHP and MySQL, you have to install first the SAMP there, and then htdoc, and then here create a project, or yeah, create a project inside the htdocs folder in our SAMP dito. Okay, now if in case that you have already a project na nagawa na, you just copy, for example
Ay,
here.
putang ina. Ang dami nila.
Quiet, naka-record tayo. Mute. Nag-ML ka ata dyan ah. Quiet. I-mute nyo na yun.
Sorry.
Mute. Naka-record tayo. Baka gusto nyong madosa. Baka gusto nyong pumunta ng student affair tapos ma-expelled kayo sa school. Kaya bawal magmura. Huwag magmumura. Okay, so let's go back. So, last week, I demonstrated on how to create a project. For example, here, meron tayong project X. Okay, so you can copy. Yan, you can copy and then modify later on. Copy and paste. Take note na dapat nasa SAMP, htdocs, doon kayo, and then paste your project dito if in case na nakagawa na kayo. Okay, so by the way, last week hindi ako nakapag-post kasi nag-reinstall ako ng yung laptop ko, and then binackup ko pa yung ni-retrieve ko pa yung mga projects. Yan, buti nga lang nakahabol ngayon. Anyway, Yan. So, if in case na meron na yan, Project X, just copy and paste inside the docs if in case na PhoneGap tsaka MySQL yung ginagamit nyo. And then after that, dito kasi meron ako nagawa yung PhoneGap. This is the project. Okay? Ah, So, dito nyo isi-save yung mga project nyo. So, let's go back to our PowerPoint presentation. Ay, by the way, pakita ko muna yung output. Okay, so nasa htdocs tayo. So, we have to open the command prompt. If in case na you are using the PhoneGap CLI, but if you are using the PhoneGap desktop, it's okay. As long as if you create a project, dapat nasa loob ng htdocs, inside the htdocs. Okay, so let's open. So this is the name of my project, PhoneGap. Okay, and then run. Let's try to run PhoneGap serve. Okay, so and then let's try to open. Copy. Serve. Okay, copy and then for example here paste. Okay, so this is the output, this one. So let's go back to our code. Okay, so we have here the HTML for the insert. Let me con muna. So we have the title, insert database, and then we have the text box here, ID. Take note that the JavaScript, kasi gagamitin natin yung JavaScript, they are using the ID. For the PHP, if you remember, we are using the name. For example, name is equal to ID, name is equal to title, name is equal to duration. But we are using the JavaScript. So for that, we will be using the ID. So ID is equal to ID, the title, the duration, and then the price, for example. And then for the button, we are using the ID again for the insert. Now, once we click the button, so this is the button. By the way, this is the cascading style, yung class. If you still remember our topic during our web application, I've already taught you what is a class and etc. and the cascading style. So these are the class for the cascading style. Now we have the ID. So once we click the ID, this one, classes button, this one is used for the design of the button. Anyway, and then the value is insert. So once we click this one, we have an ID. It will go to our app. App. Okay. Here, so we have here the hashtag insert so that it will call the function. So this is the function for the insert. So once again, when we click the button, it will go to the ID insert. So it will go here, this one, and then same. We create a variable for the title, duration, and price, and then we have called or get the value of the title. So where is the this one, hashtag title? So in our HTML, we have the hashtag the ID title. So there. Okay, so the ID title, then app. Okay, so there. Title, duration, and price, so that it will get the data. Okay, so overall, we have to create another variable to get all the data. So we have the title, the duration, the price, and etc. and then the insert. Now, what is important here, if you will notice, is we will be using not only JavaScript, is we will be using the Ajax. By the way, the query, jQuery is used for the design other than the cascading style. Okay. Ajax. Ajax is a family of JavaScript together with JSON. So JSON and Ajax, those are a family of JavaScript. Okay, and then here we have the URL where it will call the insert.php. So this is our insert.php. So let's go down. Yan. And then it will get the data in our data string and its etc. And then it will connect. Okay? So if in case that it is successful, then it will alert. It will pop up a dialog box and displaying success or inserted. But if in case that there's an error, then it will display error. That is for the insert. So take note, we have the insert HTML and we are using the JavaScript. And take note that because we are using the JavaScript, ID ang ginagamit will be using ID, not name. Okay. ID is equal to title, etc. And because PhoneGap is can only read JavaScript, it cannot read PHP. So that's why we need to
Sir, present.
mamaya. Tapusin ko muna to. Okay, so we need to use the JavaScript and Ajax to transfer the value from our HTML to JavaScript and JavaScript or Ajax to our PHP. There, insert.php. So this is the insert.php. Okay. I'll be demonstrating on how to do this later on. Then let's go now to our read. So this is our read or display. We have the read json.htm there, and then we have the php for the display json.php. So here is the display. Where is the display? Yan. Yan, for the displaying. So this is the json.php for display o yung read.php. That is PHP. Nandun lang sa kababa. Okay. Yan. And then same, it will go through a JSON. Dito naman you will be using JSON. Same, we have the field ID, field title, field duration, and field price from our database. And then our form, by the way, this is our form. Yan, so we have here the button home. So when we click home, it will go to the index. And then we have the read database naman for the title h1. And then this is the our UL. ID is list view. What is UL? That is unordered list in our HTML. List view. So here, take note of this. ID is equal to list view. Now let's go back. Where is list view? Yan. So this is list view that append. So it will show all the data in our database using this code. This one. And then we have a href form. What is a h form? So when we open our project, so this is the read. So when you click, okay, so yeah, so when you click the ID, the row, then it will go to the form.html is equal to ID, then get the ID and etc. So this one, so when you click, for example, this one, there in our address we have form ID is equal to 1, title 4789, and then 345 and price is equal to 45. So saan yan? In our code. This one, this is our code. That's why it is not it's not secure to use get method. Why? Kasi if you will notice, yung information is already displayed in our address. So it's not secure to use the get method. You know, yung this one. And then it will open the form.html. So let's open the form.html. So this is the form.html. By the way, later on in sa demonstration. this is the form.html using the yan same then it will get the value, the ID, the title, the duration, the price from our database. And then this is the form, same, we have the ID, title, duration, price, and then we have the update, and then we have delete. We have two buttons dito for the form. So where's the form? Let's go back, read, then click this one. We have two buttons, update and delete. Yan, so meron tayong update and delete. So same, meron tayong ID, title, duration, and price. So here we have title, duration, and price, this one. And then let's go up. So it will get the ID, the title, duration, price from our database, so that it will display here. Yan, i-display niya information dito. That is for the update and delete update. Okay, and then it will go. So when we click the update, so let's go to our form. When we click the update button, ID update, so it will go to this function. Where's that function? This one, hashtag update. So once we click the update button, it will do this function. First, it will get the ID, the title, the duration, the price, and then put that in a data string, and then it will fetch, parang ibabato niya dun, it will fetch to the update.php, which is our update.php. This one, this is our update.php. ID, title, duration, price, and then create a variable, and then we have a MySQL query. So this is the query. Update, table name, set, column, and then the variables. Okay, so let's go down. That is for the update. Next, same with the delete. Okay, so when we click the delete button, so here we have the delete ID, delete. So when we click the delete button, it will call this function. And it will call this function delete. And our delete.php, this is our query. Okay, now let's go now to our, by the way, we have a reference here. So ito yung reference. So we have PhoneGap this one, PhoneGap MySQL tutorial. I'll be posting our references to our Google Classroom later on. Okay, and then yun. So let's try. I've already created a project here. So take note, it should be inside the SAMP htdocs, and then create a project.
Ganyan sa exam. Ganyan yung exam natin.
Hindi, project yung sa inyo. Yung basta for the exam, bukas ko na lang sabihin ko ano yung exam ninyo para makapag-ready naman kayo. Anyway, yun nga, create a project inside the htdocs, and then www, and then we have the index. Okay, so let's try to open. Ito siya. Remove. So this is our index. Take note that the index file will be our home page. Okay, so this is the home page. Now for the index, so this is our index. And same, just copy and paste the codes. but see to it that you have to change this one, because in our reference, okay, so in our reference it says localhost. Yan. So in our reference, that is localhost, but then again you have to change. Kailangan mong baguhin. Okay, so we have the localhost here. So dito in our codes, so you have to change this one into an IP address. Where do you get the IP address? In your phone gap. For example, here the IP address is 192.168.144. Okay, just copy and then paste. And then this is the name of the project or yung folder. So if in case that you use a different name of your project, for example project X, then you have to change this also to project X. But if in my case I'm using the PhoneGap as the project name, PhoneGap. Okay, so yun, and then so it will call the insert.php. So it's inside the PhoneGap www database folder. So here's PhoneGap www, then we have database. Yan, database, and then yun, we have the insert.php. Insert.php. Yan. Okay, so same with, so that is for the insert. So let's try. For example, Lorma 123 123, then insert. So we have a notification inserted. Okay, and then let's go to our read. Hindi lang nagpapakita yun, no? We have Lorma 123. So in our database, if we look at our database, we have Lorma 123 123. Okay, so next, so when we click the read JSON, so in our index, so let's go now to our index. So when we click this button, it will go to read json.html. So when we click the read JSON here, so it will open this one. So that is read json.html. So let's go now to read json.html. So this is the read json.html. And then it will open. Again, you have to change this one because the default is localhost. So you have to change into the IP address. Okay, and then it will call the JSON. So yun, PhoneGap www database and then JSON. PhoneGap www database, and we have the JSON. So this is the display or yung read. We have select all from the table name. Then next, there. Okay, then next, so when we click naman for the update and delete, so let's go now to the read JSON. So this is the list view. Ayan. So this one, oh, yung list view. So this is the list view. Okay, so this is the list view. If you can, you notice. Then next, so when we click, so ahref. So once we click one item in our list, then it will open the form.html. Okay, so let's try to click one there. So it will go to form.html, and then it will get the ID, the title, and etc. Because of in our code we have the ID, the title, we have the duration, and then we have the price. So it will display in our uh, this one. It will display in our address. Yan o, same. Yan. Okay? So we have two buttons in here. We have update and delete. So in our code, we have, let's open the form.html. So this is our form.html. So take note, you have to change again this one into the IP address that your PhoneGap is using. So the PhoneGap will provide you an IP address for this one. So for example, in my case, the PhoneGap give me an IP address 192.168.101.44. So just copy and paste. Okay, there, and then same with this is for the update, and then same with the with this one also. You have to change, and then same. You have to change also for the delete the IP address. Take note that it depends on the phone gap. So your phone gap will give you the IP address. Okay, so you have to change. And this one is the name of the project here. So phone gap. So you have to change it also. So it depends on the name of your project. Yan. So you have, by the way, we have two. Yan. So we have update and delete. These two buttons in our output. These two, we have the update and then we have the delete. Okay. Then, so when we click the update, so in our code, when we click the update button, it will go or call the update function. This is the update function. So once we click the button, it will call this function. Yan, yung update for the update. This one, okay? So yan. Yan, this one. Okay, so this is for the update function. So it will open the update.php where we can see the update.php. It's inside the PhoneGap www database. Again, we have the www database, and then we have the update. Okay, next, that is for the update. So if it is successful, then it will display success, but if in case that there's an error, then it will display error. And then for the delete naman, so when we click the delete button here, so it will call the function delete. So this is the function delete click function. So when once we click that one, so it will get the ID, and then it will open redirect to the delete.php. So here's the code for the delete.php. So delete from the course where ID is equal to ID. Yan. It uses get. So let's try delete. Deleted. Read. Yun, so wala. For example, ito, sample 1, 2, 3. Delete. Dapat it should be redirect in here. Yun, nadi-delete siya. It is deleted in our database. Okay, so yun. And then next is let's try to connect that in our mobile phones. So take note that our computer unit that I'm using will be the server, and then the client will be the mobile phones. So I'm using the visor. So this is the visor. Okay, so this is my phone. Okay, let's try to open. Oh, wait, di niya kita. So we have the phone gap here, phone gap. Let's open, and then and this is the IP address that the phone gap is generated. So you have to copy and paste the IP address. So for me, that's 192.168.101.44, and then the port is 3000. Okay, so it's correct. Then connect. So this is the output in my mobile phone. So let's try to input some data. For example, title PhoneGap tutorial. And then for the duration, for example, 5. And then example of the price, for example, 500. And then click or tap insert button. Okay, so it has an alert, so inserted. Click OK. And then let's try to open. There. So we have there the data, PhoneGap tutorial 5. And then if we see in our database, here we have PhoneGap tutorial 500. And then as well as in here our web, same. So it has a data, same lang sila. Okay. Okay. If you want to install, kasi I'm using the virtual PhoneGap developer installed in my phone. This one. Yan yung PhoneGap developer. So if in case that there's no error, then that's the time that I will create an APK. So to do that, I'll be using the build.phonegap. So first you have to create a zip file. Okay, so for example here PhoneGap. So you have to compress. Okay, so after compressing, go to the build.phonegap.com and then upload. So for example, PhoneGap. There, yung PhoneGap, yung compressed zip or compressed file, PhoneGap or project. Then open and then upload. Ayun, bilis. Okay, so after uploading, then you can download the APK. It's already 2 o'clock. Konti na lang. Okay, anyway, so just download the APK. Then once downloaded, yun, download the APK there, and then save. Then after saving, I'm using the Google Drive to transfer. So here, installer, dito na lang sa installer. So I will upload that in my Google Drive. This is my Google. You can use your Google Drive to transfer. Yan. So I have here the APK. Then in my phone, I will open my Google Drive, and then locate, so installer, and then PhoneGap. Installer. Back. Yan. Okay, so zip, then package install, then install, Install anyway, then open. Okay, don't send. Okay, so let's try. So I've already installed that in my mobile phone. So this one, open, and then let's try to insert sample data. 1 2 3 4 5 price 1 2 3 4 5 insert, connecting, inserted, read JSON, yun, sample 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so yun lang. So any question from the class before we dismiss? By the way, it is recorded in our OBS, then later on it will be posted in our Google Classroom, yung demonstration. Okay, so before we end, any question? Class is already 2 o'clock, meron pa akong klase.
Present, sir. Present.
Ha? Ah, dito?
Sir,
Sila
present,
din?
Alba.
Sila konto. Sila Alva. Ay, dito na? Wala, ano lang ata to.
Present, sir. Cardona.
Mat link ni Ma'am Ja, sir.
Okay, so,
Pakibagaman din.
dali, nandiyan, imimit pa kayo ni Ma'am Ja. Sino yung Alva? Alva.
Sir.
Sino pa? Cardona.
Present. Cardona.
Cardona present.
Babara. Present, sir. Present.
Sino pa? Nilmida. Villanueva. Lim. Wala na? Okay, so if you don't have... Ay, may CS. Ayo pala, sila Lim. Akamaka. May question pa kasi ibibigay ko na kay Ma'am Ja.